So let's start out by introducing you to an animal that has 6 legs. It's an insect, and this insect comes from the island of Madagascar, just off the coast of Africa, and it's a hissing cockroach. So a Madagascar hissing cockroach. All right, here's Harry right here. And you can tell he's a boy because I don't know if you can see those 2 horns on the top of his head, but the females don't have horns like that. So that way I can tell that this is Harry, my male hissing cockroach. Now, something you notice right away is the size. They're very large, all right? They're large bugs. They're known as the tanks of the insect world. You also notice these things that are moving around on his head. Those are called antennae, and they're for actually feeling around and communicating with other hissing cockroaches. All right, you'll also notice these little black dots along their abdomen. By the way, insects have 3 body parts. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So along Harry's abdomen, you can see these little black dots. Those are called spiracles. That's how an insect will actually breathe, is through the spiracles. Now, when hissing cockroaches get scared, they use a defense mechanism, and it's in their name. They actually hiss. And they do that by rapidly pushing air through those spiracles to make a cool hissing sound. All right, one other thing is that they have their skeletons on the outside of their body. It's known as an exoskeleton. All right, let me get him coming back around here so you guys can see him. All right, so that's called an exoskeleton. It's on the outside of their body. And then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. Now, unlike the cockroaches that you find here in Alabama, they do not have wings, so they cannot fly. But they do have teeny tiny hooks on each of their 6 legs that allow them to walk straight up walls. All right, so I actually have some other friends here with Harry, some more hissing cockroaches, and I'm going to see if I can get one of them to make that hissing sound we were talking about. Let's make something called a balloon screamer. Seems like such an odd thing to make, a balloon screamer, when you're talking about hissing cockroaches. But here's what I think about the balloon screamer. It sounds a lot like a super important insect. This insect is a major source of pollination in the spring. They're yellow, some of them, with black lines. Oh, a bee. Very good. It sounds like a bee buzzing to me. So it's a perfect activity for us to do. All you need is, this is a hex nut right here. So it has a hex nut. Whatever size you need, that's fine. It can be big or it can be small like this. Just find a hex nut and a balloon. I'm going to put the hex nut inside of the balloon, just like this, and then blow it up. Be sure not to swallow the hex nut. That would not be fun. There we go. Okay, so now the hex nut is inside of the balloon. So if I can get the hex nut to move and put it in motion, it's going to actually rub against the inside of the balloon. It's creating friction. But when it creates that friction, it makes a cool sound. Swarm of bees. Amazing, right? So it's a pretty serious science going on here. When the hex nut goes around the inside of the balloon, it creates friction. All right, so that's the sound that you're hearing. But if I'm doing this and I suddenly stop, the hex nut keeps going because of something called inertia. Basically, an object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force, and an object in motion stays in motion unless acted on by an outside force. Inertia is the reason why you sit in a car seat or wear a seatbelt when you're in the car, because if the car suddenly stops, you'll keep going. But it does sound like bees. So make your very own balloon screamer or bee buzzer whenever you get a chance. See you next week.